Don't touch that dial. It's time once again to lend me an ear. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 18th edition of Lend Me an Ear, the annual fundraiser for the Atlanta Community Food Bank, brought to you by the Atlanta Union Radio Players. Because of the ongoing pandemic, we're still unable to perform in our usual haunt, the Shakespeare Tavern in downtown Atlanta. But we are still relentless in our pursuit of support for the ACFB. So once again, we are streaming to you tonight for their benefit with our second online offering entitled Gumshoes, Gats, and Flatfoots, celebrating those famous old-time radio sleuths from yesteryear, solving crimes while you help solve the problem of hunger by donating to the ACFB. So give generously, won't you? It's the perfect time to do it, Giving Tuesday. Feels good just saying it, doesn't it? And now, with no further ado, the Atlanta Union Radio Players bring you Gumshoes, Gats, and Flatfoots. But first, a word from one of our sponsors.
There's a new product that's helping to democratize America. This product is Grit, spelled G-R-I-T. Grit, the paste which makes your hands look dirty and gives you that honest working man's appearance.
Grit gives you dirty hands in a twinkling. Self-conscious tycoons use it every day in 48 states, plus Alaska and Hawaii. Women use it too. I read from a letter sent to us by Miss Tilly Bergenheimer of Los Angeles. She says, I worked in an airplane plant during the war. I am sorry to say I was a receptionist for a vice president. All my girlfriends were spot welders, and when we had luncheon together, I was ashamed of my clean white hands. Then I heard of Grit, and after that, I had as dirty hands as any of them.
And here's another letter with a very good suggestion. Maybe you'd be interested in a suggestion for using Grit. I am a necktie salesman, and at 5 o'clock, my hands are still beautiful. Before I met the boys from the machine shop at Hurley's, I smear a little Grit over them, and strangers think I'm a cable overhauler. Boy, do my hands look dirty.
Yes, Bob, that's a very good suggestion. Now, friends, there's just one word of caution. Grit does not come off with soap. The only thing which will take Grit off is Smurge, the paste that removes Grit. Smurge comes in a good-looking, unobtrusive gallon can. You wipe with Smurge, and the Grit disappears. Unfortunately, the odor of Smurge does not disappear.
But we've taken care of that. You can remove the odor of Smurge with Whiff, spelled W-H-I-F-F. Whiff, the Smurge remover and the handy 2-gallon demi-jar.
For this month only, we make this amazing offer. A tube of Grit, a can of Smurge, and a bottle of Whiff for $26.95 postpaid. This will give you that popular dirty hand appearance for 30 days. Rub a little Grit on your hands before attending union meetings. Then wipe off with Smurge before meeting your girlfriend. And finish with a quick, easy application of Whiff.
Be the grimiest man in your crowd with Grit, spelled G for grit, R for rub, I for eyesore, and T for Theodore Gramish, a friend of mine up in Boston.
Just write to New York and receive our sensational offer postpaid in a plain, odorless, welded container.
When people come up to shake hands with you, they'll say,
Hello, you stupid fools. This is Rocky Rococo, and lend me an ear or any expendable body part you have left or right, because my people have informed me that you 18-year veterans of the Atlantis Players have sunk so low as to resurrect the further adventures of Nick Danger, Third Eye, by the Frankenstein Theater as a fundraiser for the Atlanta Community Food Bank. I'd stay and watch it myself, but I have to get down to the bank and clear it out at gunpoint to prepare for my no Thanksgiving Day feast. So good luck, suckers, or as we say in my business, break a leg, or I'll have to do it for you.
Hello, Yukon 28209. Yes, this is Candy Matson.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
Candy, over here.
What? Why, Myra Fisher, what are you doing here in a department store with your work clothes on?
I work here, dear. I'm a wage slave.
Well, I must say, on you it looks good. What do you slave at?
I'm head of advertising and promotion.
Well, quite a spot, eh, girl?
Well, it was until this morning.
Oh?
Now my neck is in the fire.
What did you do? Forget to proofread one of your ads?
Nothing so trivial, dear, believe me. But am I glad to have bumped into you?
Maybe you'll change your mind when I tell you I've been shoplifting.
No, I'm serious, Candy. Could you spare a moment and come up to my office?
Why, sure, and wipe that frown off your brow. It's wrinkling your makeup.
Well, yours would wrinkle too if you had a missing Santa Claus helper on your hands.
Well. Now there's a situation. And it almost broke Candy Matson's heart when someone told her there was no Santa Claus's helper. One Jack Frost. Listen, here she is now to tell you all about it.
That's right. What the man said. I ran into a deal where we had a missing Santa Claus helper, Jack Frost. The gent with the icicles was supposed to talk to the tiny tots at the Brownstone, one of San Francisco's larger and classier department stores. I'd gone down to there that afternoon shopping. I wanted a bow tie for my old pal, Inspector Ray Mallard of the San Francisco Police Department. A bow tie that lit up and spelled Cossack when you pressed the button on the battery. That was when I bumped into this gal, Myra Fisher.
You think I'm fooling about this Jack Frost thing, don't you, Candy?
Well, now look, dear. We all have our little peccadillos. Yours just merely happens to be a missing Jack Frost. You'll get over it.
I refrain from hurling this ashtray at you, Candy, only because of our long acquaintance.
Good.
Now listen to me. We've had a Santa Claus helper here for almost a month, and a darn good one. The kids were crazy about him. This morning, he didn't show.
You don't suppose Jackie boy got in the mood and caught the Christmas spirit, do you? The kind that comes in pints?
Oh, no, he wasn't that sort of Joe.
Well, your answer's simple. Hire a new one.
They're hired through an agency. I called the one we do business with, and they're fresh out of Jack Frost's. And I've got to get one, Candy. Otherwise, I come down 10 notches in the opinion of the brass.
I don't want you to think I'm unsympathetic, Myra, but what can I do?
Well, you get around. You know people. Find me somebody, anybody, who'll take over the job of Jack Frost.
Well, okay, I'll do the best I can, Myra.
Oh, well, Candy, you're a dear.
Yeah, one of Santa's dears. Okay, I'll try and find you a Jack Frost, Myra, but don't hold it against me if he turns out to look more like Humpty Dumpty. I went home and looked up the Webster definition of soft. It said soft, easily yielding to pressure. That was me, Candy Matson, girl dope. Here I had all my Christmas shopping to do, and I agreed to find a substitute Jack Frost. I had no idea where to start, so I changed into something red and green for a stop and go, also for Christmas, and went over to see my friendly advisor, Rembrandt Watson. Rembrandt is a photographer, and excellent too, now that he doesn't have the sherry shivers or the port palsies. He lives on California Street, just kitten rompers from Old St. Mary's, with a statue of Sun Yat-sen for company in a park next door.
Andy, dove, how delightful. Do come in, won't you?
Thanks, Rembrandt.
Oh, Pet, you're acquainted with my friend Diogenes Murphy, aren't you?
Oh, yes. Hello again, Mr. Murphy.
Boy, good afternoon, lass. You look prettier than even the last time I saw you.
Uh-oh, here comes the blarney.
Young lady, Diogenes Murphy, the honest Irishman, never says a word he doesn't mean. How do you think I managed to sell so many used cars at my place out on Van Ness Avenue?
Because you're an honest Irishman.
Ah, but you're so right, lass. Incidentally, if you need a good car, I can get you one of the very reasonable...
Diogenes.
Sorry, I got carried away.
I didn't mean to barge in on you like this, Rembrandt.
Don't be ridiculous, dear.
No, don't be. Think nothing of it, lass. I'm on my way now. Rembrandt and I were only discussing the situation at the wharf.
And to what conclusion did you come?
It stinks. The bottom of the afternoon to the both of you.
I'm very fond of Diogenes. And what brings you around this way, dear?
Jack Frost.
Ah, yes. Now getting on with our conversation, what brings you around this way, dear?
Jack Frost.
Maybe the needle is bad. Shall we try again?
I know how you feel. I reacted the same way myself. I'll give you the pocket-sized edition. The Brownstone department store is without a Santa Claus helper, Jack Frost. He didn't show up for work this morning. I said I'd find them a new one.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Dove.
Very dumb of me, Dove. I know of only one character who even remotely looks like Jack Frost, and I met him up in Alaska when I was traveling with the USO.
Won't do you much good down here, will he?
No, that's why I came to see you, Rembrandt. Don't you keep a cross file on models you've used in photography?
As a matter of fact, I do. Here, in this little book. Let's see. Men, thin extremely. I have just one. Pietro Tarantello. Would you care for a Sicilian Jack Frost?
In Sicily, yes. Hey, what's that?
Where?
Oh, that chair next to you.
Oh, that's the afternoon paper, dear. Diogenes left it, I imagine.
Yes, on the front page. There's the whole story about the missing Jack Frost on the front page. What he got in his Christmas stocking? A slug through the head.
That's no way to treat Jack Frost.
And here's a picture of the guy without his false icicles.
What a ham. Looks like he stepped right out of an 1890 Shakespearean play.
I hate to say this, Rembrandt, but he resembles you.
Well, I take back what I said.
Rembrandt.
Divorce yourself from that tone of voice, Candy. I don't like it.
Rembrandt, I've got an idea.
You usually do.
You like little children.
Can't stand them.
You like to talk to people.
I abhor conversation.
You like to be charming.
Lost me charm.
Gay.
Lost me gay.
With the help of a few icicles, Ducky, you're going to be Jack Frost. Rembrandt fought. He argued. He paced the floor. He had the vapors. He fainted. I brought him to. I won the argument. I got my friend Myra Fisher on the phone and informed her that one R. Watson would assume the role of Jolly Jack Frost on the morrow. She was delighted. I couldn't say the same for Rembrandt. Then I went home. I was greeted by a sound very much like that of a phone ringing. Using my keen instincts, I figured it was the phone. It was. Hello, Candy Matson.
How do you do, Miss Matson? Allow me to introduce myself.
Allowed.
My name is Burke, Prentice Burke. I'm the first assistant vice president of the Brownstone.
Brownstone? Oh, yes. That's a store of some kind, isn't it?
Yes. Now, the reason for my call. There has been, shall I say, a rather unfortunate occurrence in our store today.
So I read.
I need the help of a professional sleuth. You are highly recommended by the head of our advertising department, Miss Myra Fisher.
Aha! The thick plottins.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, no need to. You didn't do anything. Okay, care to talk to me now, Mr. Burke?
Oh, I'd much rather have you come down to my office, Miss Matson. This matter is of an extremely confidential nature.
I'm your girl then, figuratively speaking. How long will you be there?
As long as necessary. That's up to you.
Very well. I'll be there in half an hour, if I can find a place to park. I only had time for a fast change, so I made it from indiscreet to taboo. I sniffed at it, and I felt I was on the right scent. Then I climbed in my car, drove down Kearney Street, waved a crisp single under the nose of a hotel doorman, and had my car taken care of. Then into the brownstone and up to Mr. Prentice Burke's office. I flipped a hip past the girl secretary and walked on in. Burke was waiting for me. That was obvious. I could tell by the expression on his face. It was worried look number 12B. How do you do, Mr. Burke? I'm Candy Matson.
Sit down, won't you?
Thank you. Now our subject is what?
A man named Friday.
That's on another network.
Beg your pardon?
Oh, that's all right. Now about this Friday?
Oh, yes, Ralph Friday, to be exact.
Well, that's a relief. For a moment, I thought you wanted to talk about Jack Frost.
Well, that's just it. He was Jack Frost.
Oh, me and my big mouth.
He was working here up until yesterday afternoon. Maybe you read about it. He was found shot today.
Yes, I read about it.
That's the reason I called you.
Why didn't you have your own store detectives take over, Mr. Burke?
No, that would never do. I want no one in the store to know what's going on.
Ah, intrigue.
Quite possibly. I have reason to suspect that Friday was killed by someone in our employ. I want to find out who this someone was before the police do and get it splashed all over the front page.
Publicity conscious, eh?
Well, business has been off for a whole year, and any bad breaks in the press would hurt us that much more.
Maybe you've got a point there, I don't know.
I know I have.
Okay, I'll take the job. You say you have a suspicion? What is it?
Well, nothing tangible. It's just a feeling I have.
Oh, that's a big help. Well, I'll mush around and see what I can pick up. I'll bill you tomorrow for my first day's work. It's much easier to sustain a friendship on a daily basis. I left Burke looking as though someone had just called his store a bazaar. It was closing time, so I hefted my way through the crush and retrieved my car from the doorman. The Hall of Justice is right on my way home, so I decided to drop in on my old pal Mallard, Inspector Ray Mallard of the San Francisco homicide. A nice guy to serve coffee to on Sunday mornings if you could ever lasso him. I never could get strong enough rope.
Candy, what brings you around here?
I hate to have my Christmas ruined so early. What about that Jack Frost character?
Oh, yeah. Poor guy got it good.
Where'd you find him?
In his apartment over on 17th. He lived near Seal Stadium. Why so interested, Candy?
Rembrandt's a dead ringer for the guy.
I still don't get that.
The gal who's head of advertising for the Brownstone was going out of her head for another Jack Frost. I talked Rembrandt into taking the job. Does sound funny, doesn't it? Bring me up to date, Mallard. Did you get any dope on the killing?
Nothing but a .45 slug out of the guy's wall. Ballistics is checking it out now.
Nothing else?
If I did, I should tell you.
No, I guess not.
This goes beyond just the normal curiosity, Candy. What are you drilling for?
Oh, only I'm worried about Rembrandt. I got him the job. I'm responsible. I wouldn't want anything to happen to him.
Ask a silly question, Mallard, and you get a silly answer. Okay, let's forget it. How's about dinner tonight?
I fought this thing long and hard enough. Okay.
Candy.
Yes, Mallard?
We've known each other a good long time, haven't we?
That's right. Ever since the fair on Treasure Island.
We've had our little quarrels, little misunderstandings.
Oh, but they never seem to last long, though, do they?
No. That's why I feel I have every right to ask you a question.
Why, yes, I'd say you do, Mallard.
Maybe I'll ask you tonight.
No, go ahead. Now's as good a time as any.
Perhaps it is, Candy.
Hmm.
You get around a lot. You meet people. Do you know where I can get a couple of tickets to the Rose Bowl game?
My brain lit up like a Roman candle. I stormed for the door, turned back, stood there, my jaw waggling helplessly. Then I stuck my tongue out at Mallard and left. It was the only thing I could think of doing. Oh, he can make me so mad. But inside, half an hour after I got home, I started to laugh. Felt much better. Just as I was puttering around getting ready, the apartment buzzer buzzed. Is that Mallard? Much too early. But I was wrong. It wasn't Mallard. Well, Myra, what a surprise! Do come in, won't you?
Oh, no, thanks. Candy, a friend of mine's waiting in the car. He's waiting outside. He's driving me home.
Oh, I'm sorry you can't stay for a moment.
So am I, dear. I just dropped by to leave this. Merely a little token of thanks for getting me off the hook.
Oh, Myra, there wasn't any need to do that.
Just a few pairs of old stockings, dear. Getting me my new Jack Frost means more than you know. Here, please take them. Along with my very deepest thanks.
Well, thanks so much. A girl can always use them. Are you all set with my friend, Mr. Watson?
Oh, yes. He came in this afternoon and filled out his withholding tax and so on. Very nice.
I think you'll find him very efficient, Myra.
Oh!
What's the matter?
Pardon me, I didn't mean to frighten you.
Oh, Mallard.
Oh, silly of me. I must have jumped a foot.
Oh, that's all right. He frightens me too, Myra. Inspector Mallard. Inspector, Miss Fisher.
How do you do?
Well, fine, thank you. Now that I've caught my breath. Do forgive me, Candy, but I must rush. See you soon, I hope.
Tomorrow, Myra, I'll be down to see how my lad's doing as Jack Frost. Thanks for the stockings.
Well, aren't you going to invite me in?
No, I'm not. Here's my coat right here. What's our hurry? Come on, let's go. I'm starved.
Well, I thought we could have a cocktail here before we left.
You thought wrong. 2 tickets to the Rose Bowl. From now on, you earn your cocktails, Mallard. We went downstairs, and as I locked the front door, the car was just driving off. It was Myra, and she waved. And driving, if these tired old eyes hadn't deceived me, was Mr. Prentice Burke, Vice President of the Brownstone. Well. Oh, well. Mallard and I climbed into our car and drove out to the Cliff House. It was that kind of an evening. We had dinner, and after, I suggested we walk a bit. The night was crisp and clear, and the evening star was hanging out above the dark waters of the Pacific like an iridescent Japanese lantern. It cut across a little road above Sutro Baths where an old car barn had once stood, and worked our way over the cliffs and stood high above Land's End. It was exhilarating.
Penny for your thoughts, Candy.
Inflation is still here.
All right, make it 2 pennies.
Well, I was just thinking, Mallard dear, when you see a star in the sky, soft water below, feel Christmas in the air, how can there be violence in the world?
Age-old question, pal. One I can't answer. I'm too small. Oh, hey, you're cold. I better put my arm around you.
Mallard, no.
What's the matter?
The headlights from that automobile are shining right down on us, and we... Mallard!
Candy, what's wrong?
Got your flashlight with you?
Sure. Also, my gun and my handcuffs. Anything else we need? A mortar, maybe?
Lights from that car, they shone on something. Down there, under that tree!
Ah, Candy. Just for once, can't you stop digging up a mystery, be human?
I am being human. Come on, Mallard, I want to see what's under that tree. We scrambled around through the brush, slipped into some sliding sand, and rode the crest down to the tree. It wasn't easy to get around some of those brambles, but get there I fully intended doing, because what I saw was red. Bright red.
You okay, Candy?
Nothing that a new pair of nylons won't fix. Shoot the flashlight over this way a bit, Mallard. There. That's it. Now do you think I'm dreaming things up?
What is it?
Wait till I hold it up.
Well, looks like some kind of a costume.
Right. And look. If those aren't bloodstains, I'm a Labrador Retriever.
No, you're Candy Matson. Those are bloodstains.
How was your boy dressed when you found him?
Torn slacks, sweater, shoes, no socks.
This was most likely his costume then.
Yeah. Don't move around too much, Candy. I want to have a good look at the ground.
Hey, what are you doing down there?
Who's that?
The police. Now get up here and don't try any tricks.
That's all right, officer. This is Inspector Mallard, homicide.
Oh. Sorry, Inspector.
That's all right. Stay right where you are. We'll be right up. Well, this is a break, Candy. I want you to drive me to a phone. I'll leave the officer here to guard the place. You can go home. I've got work to do here, okay?
Yeah, sure. Well, for once we had dinner before you had a chance to break the date. This baby was hard to reconstruct. Was the guy knocked off out there at Land's End, or was he bumped off at his apartment? The killer driving way out to the beach and hiding the costume. Only time would tell. I went home, climbed into bed, and logged about 8 hours, enough to give me fuel for the next day. In the morning, I went down to the brownstone. The shoppers were already swarming through the place. I spotted a floor walker and strolled over to him. Pardon me, sir.
I'm very busy, young lady. Make it as brief as possible.
You do work here, don't you?
Of course.
You are the floor walker assigned to this section?
That is correct. Come to the point, please.
Of all the... I have a good mind to report you.
As you wish. As I said, I'm very busy. Now, what is it you wanted to know?
The words are like gall in my mouth now. Where do I find Jack Frost?
Right over there, in the back. 2 aisles over.
Thank you.
Not at all. Not
Very
at all.
Of all the high-handed characters, people like that make me steam. I was getting up a full head of dander, but it simmered out before I had a chance to boil over, because as I rounded the corner, I saw Frosty Boy, or Rembrandt if you choose, up on his platform with the cutest little blonde kid sitting in his lap.
Well, 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 look who we have here. A great big boy. Hello there, son.
Hello, Jack Frost.
What is your name?
Topper.
Topper. My, what a fine name. How old are you, Topper?
5 and a half.
5 and a half? Well, you must go to school, Topper. Which one?
Garfield.
Garfield. Well, that's a good school. Now tell me, what would you like to have me tell Santa Claus to bring you for Christmas, Topper?
An electric train, and a baseball bat, and I like to be in the Seals for Lefty O'Doul.
Well, I'll see what I can do to arrange that, Topper. I'll tell Santa Claus. Bye now.
Goodbye, and thank you, and Merry Christmas.
I hope you can make the boy's wish come true. O'Doul could use them.
Candy. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, dear. Duck around into the back room for a moment. I've got to talk to you.
Aren't you working, Frosty Boy?
I've got 10 minutes off every hour. I'll take the break now. Right around there, Candy.
What's the matter, Rembrandt? Even under those icicles, you look warm under your collar.
Here, look at this. Every now and then, one of these moppets toddles up to me and with a Christmas letter in their hand. A little red-headed girl handed me this about half an hour ago. I've been shaking ever since.
Let me see. Dear Jack Frost, A word to the wise is sufficient. When you take your lunch hour, keep on going. Don't come back. Otherwise, you'll meet the same fate as your predecessor. Just about what I expected.
Candy, you mean to say that you're deliberately using me as a sacrificial lamb?
By no means, Ducky. Go ahead, take your lunch. Then do as the note says. Keep on going. As a matter of fact, why don't you take off now? I'll meet you at your place in about an hour.
It's the best news I've heard since Nelson's victory at Trafalgar.
I whipped upstairs, reported to Prentice Burke, got my first day's check, and on my way out told his secretary she'd better get Burke some smelling salts. Then I went back on the floor again. Sure enough, there was my boy, the floor walker. I wanted to have a few more words with him.
Oh, you again.
If you don't mind. I was just up to see Miss Myra Fisher. She wasn't in. Have you seen her down here?
No, and what's more, I won't see her all day. She phoned saying she was ill. Most inconsiderate, I must say, during the holiday rush.
Yes, I must say. Could you give me her address? She's a friend of mine. I've got to see her.
Her address? Why, yes, I'll write it down for you here on one of my cards. Myra Fisher, 227F, Union Street. There.
Thank you. You are so kind.
Not at all.
I had all the ammunition I wanted. A check signed by Burke, and a card written by the floor walker. His name was Simon Liggett. With that, I ducked into a phone booth and called Mallard.
Homicide, Mallard speaking.
Good boy. This is Candy. What did you find out at Land's End last night?
Couple of very juicy footprints that give us nothing.
Did you make any casts of them?
Why, sure.
Mind if I borrow a couple of them for a few hours, Mallard?
Well, I don't see how it'll hurt. Sure, okay.
Thanks, Mallard, dear. I'll be by in just a moment, and, I want to borrow you, too. I stopped by the Hall of Justice, got the casts of the footprints, shoved Mallard into the car, and then picked up Rembrandt. The thing was only a hunch, but my hunches have paid off, so I never ignore them. First, we went out to an address on 5th Avenue near Clement. We got in the back door and went to work. Nothing made sense there, so we drove over to Reseda Way in the marina. Again, we got in and did some sleuthing. This time, we hit the jackpot. A pair of shoes in the closet matched the casts we'd brought with us. Rembrandt, go out in the kitchen and see if this place has any ketchup, huh?
I'm not hungry, Dove, but I'll look.
What are you up to, Candy? We've got enough to swing a case here.
I'm working for a voluntary confession, Mallard. What was the position that Jack Frost was in when you found him dead?
In a chair, like that one, his head slumped down on his chest.
Good.
Here's the catsup, Dove. What are you putting it on?
You.
What?
Without the bun or relish, Ducky. Down, will you, Rembrandt? Now just limp and let your head hang down. That's it. Now for a little seasoning.
Oh, Candy, you're smearing me with this sticky stuff.
And all for the sake of art. Hold still. There. How does he look, Mallard?
Why, of all the... Candy. It looks like the same guy. The real thing.
Good. Now, Rembrandt, you just sit like that. Don't move. Now, Mallard, you duck into that closet over there and I'll hide in here. We've got a good view of the front door from both places. Okay?
Okay. There are times, Candy, when I admit I admire your genius.
Genius, schmenius. Come on, let's hide. The golden shafts of sun, splashing in through the window from the ocean, slowly turned pink, then purple, then into twilight. The minutes ticked on once.
Okay.
Bless you. But quiet though, Rembrandt. You'll muss up your ketchup. 5 minutes. 10. Then we heard muffled footsteps coming down the hall and a key inserted in the lock of the apartment door.
No. Oh, no. No, it can't be. The old fool I killed. Oh, no. No.
Okay, buddy, that'll be about enough.
Oh, you, no.
Get him, Mallard. He's ducking.
I'll get him.
Nice tackle, Mallard.
All right, Mac. You gonna remain peaceful, or do I have to give you a little tap?
No, no. I'll be quiet. You got me. I did it. I did it to both of them. I killed them. I killed them. I killed both of them.
Both of them?
Yeah, look. Behind the sofa. The girl and that Jack Frost. The sofa.
The sofa? Wait a minute, Mallard. Oh, Mallard.
More trouble, Candy?
Yes, an old friend of mine. Late Myra Fisher. The whole thing was jealousy. Not the jealousy of a man for a woman, but the jealousy of a man for her job. Simon Liggett had been with Brownstone for almost 20 years. He'd worked himself up from stock boy to a place where he'd been promised the job of head of advertising and promotion. He almost got it. Except at the last moment, Prentice Burke gave the position to Myra Fisher. That had been only 2 weeks before. He knew that Myra was on a probationary term, so he did everything he could to undermine her. Little things like changing ad copy, sending out false stories to newspapers. He figured that if he could keep the store without a Santa Claus helper, he'd break Myra's back and get the job by the first of the year. He paid a visit to the first Jack Frost and tried to bribe him into quitting, but the guy would have none of it. There was a struggle. Liggett lost his head and whipped out a gun and shot him. He was still in his costume, so Liggett stripped him, put some old clothes on him, drove out to Land's End and ditched his costume. Then he felt sure there would be no Jack Frost the next day, but that's when Myra met me, and I talked Rembrandt into taking over. By this time, Liggett was in a frenzy and would stop at nothing. He trailed Myra and Burke to Myra's home, killed her, took her body over to his place, and ditched it behind the sofa. The next morning, he wrote a note to Rembrandt and gave it to one of the little girls waiting in line to see him. Fear and envy were taking their toll on the poor guy's mind. I wanted to compare the handwriting, so I had Burke write me a check and Liggett write Myra's address on a card. Also, we had the footprint casts. Between the two, everything pointed toward Liggett. That's when I staged my little parlor charade with Rembrandt playing the part of a corpse. The sight, with Rembrandt's resemblance to the dead Jack Frost, would shatter anybody into a confession. But Christmas, in spite of everything, is a lovely time of year, and there is a Santa Claus. 3 of them for me, as a matter of fact. Mr. Prentice Burke, who sent me a very nice check for my efforts. Rembrandt Watson, who, out of a sheer love for the job, went back to playing Jack Frost for all the kids at the Brownstone. And, last but not least, Inspector Ray Mallard. He gave me a Christmas sock. Right on my mouth, just where any well-placed Christmas sock should go.
Listen again next week at this same time for excitement and adventure. Just dial
Candy Matson, and a happy holidays to you all. Yukon 28209.
You are tuned for the stars on NBC.
It was a dark and stormy night as I climbed the 3 flights of stairs to my small flat. The flat was cold and I was hungry. I opened the kitchen cabinet and there was an entire shelf of Campbell's soup. Campbell's chicken noodle soup, Campbell's split pea soup, Campbell's vegetable soup, Campbell's clam chowder, and my favorite, a perfectly seasoned Campbell's tomato soup. I quickly lighted the stove, poured the tomato Campbell soup into the pan, and heated it to a simmer. Poured it into my Campbell soup cup, and had the first sip. Good. So good. Why don't you have a cup of Campbell soup? It's so good. Good. Yum. That's what Campbell soup is. Good.
Hi, everybody. I'm Topper's little sister, Beanie. Topper wanted to give you a special message, but I wrestled him for it, and I won. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the people who donated to our Lend Me an Ear fundraiser for the ACFB. That's the Atlanta Community Food Bank. I was going to ask Santa for a donation, but he already has too many lists. Doll houses, toy trains, baseball stuff, you know. The Atlanta Food Bank feeds a lot of people who are hungry, and we think everybody should have something to eat, especially during the holidays. So if you haven't already donated, you can just click on the Donate Directly link. Wait, can I do that? Where is it? Oh, it's magic. Only you can do it. Well, thank you for watching and listening to this year's Lend Me an Ear. Merry Christmas. Bye. Where is that magic link? I don't see it.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows.
Blue Coal, America's finest anthracite from the mines of Pennsylvania, brings you The Shadow, who in reality is Lamont Cranston, a man of wealth, a student of science, and a master of other people's minds, who devotes his life to righting wrongs, protecting the innocent, and punishing the guilty. Using advanced methods that may ultimately become available to all law enforcement agencies, Cranston is known to the underworld as The Shadow. Never seen, only heard, as haunting to superstitious minds as a ghost, as inevitable as a guilty conscience. This morning, Lamont Cranston and his friend Margot Lane are at the edge of a curious, excited crowd gathered near Pier 78 at the riverfront. Now, amidst the noise of police cars, reporters, and ambulances, Margot says,
Lamont, I wouldn't for the world sound calloused, but just what is this all about?
Look, Margot, I think they're bringing up the body. Oh, what did you say?
I said, darling, it's perfectly all right to be dragged out of a sound sleep at the crack of dawn this way, and I love watching policemen take bodies out of the river.
You do?
Only it'd be a lot more fun if I knew what this is all about. After all, Lamont, they've found people in this river before.
I know, darling, but they haven't found Matilda Redfield before. And unless I missed the tip, that's the old girl now.
Easy there, men. Take it easy now.
Redfield, oh!
Oh is right. She's the one who disappeared 3 days ago. The papers have been full of it. Say, she's beautiful, isn't she?
Lamont, don't be sordid.
Idiot. I mean the niece. At least I think that's the niece, the one going over toward Commissioner Weston.
Oh, yes. I remember her picture in the paper.
Oh, Miss Redfield. Miss Redfield, if you'll... Lamont Cranston.
Good morning, Commissioner. Fishing this morning?
I might have known you'd show up. Good morning, Miss Lane.
Top of the morning to you, Commissioner.
Well, Cranston, if you've come for any excitement, you're too late. We just brought up the body.
Matilda Redfield?
Yeah, the old dame who disappeared from that hotel up the river.
Anything interesting, Commissioner?
No, not a mark on her that I can see.
Suicide?
Looks that way. I'll have the medical examiner go over her downtown. Oh, Miss Redfield.
Commissioner,
I'm sorry you have to see this, Miss Redfield. It is your aunt, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, this is Miss Lane, Miss Redfield, and Mr. Cranston.
How do you do?
Commissioner Weston, this is horrible. Horrible.
Now, Miss Redfield, at least now you know. You positively identified the body, do you?
It's Aunt Matilda, all right, but...
Well, then, I think what you'd better do now is to get some rest, Miss Redfield. If you'll come down to headquarters, say about noon, we'll take care of the paperwork down there.
Paperwork?
The commissioner means it's only a routine matter, Miss Redfield. Your aunt will have to be taken from here to the city examiner's office.
Excuse me, I'll go see what the men are doing. Sorry, Cranston. Looks like you got out of bed for nothing.
I don't understand. The shock is all so horrible.
Of course, Miss Redfield. We understand.
We have my car, Miss Redfield. Could Miss Lane and I drive you someplace?
But...
It would be better, my dear. There's nothing you can do here at all now.
But you don't understand. The commissioner, those police, why, they think Matilda committed suicide.
And you don't, Miss Redfield.
Oh, no, she couldn't have done that.
Tell me, Miss Redfield, did your aunt wear expensive jewelry? A bracelet, perhaps?
How did you know that?
I watched you identify the body, my dear. And the first thing you did was roll back that torn sleeve and look at your aunt's wrist.
But...
A rather curious way to identify a body, don't you think? Come along, Miss Redfield. I really think we ought to drive you home. Go on, Muriel. Miss Lane and I have all the time in the world.
It's just the way I said, Mr. Cranston. Matilda lived alone in the Hotel Acheron. It's just outside the city on the river.
She was wealthy then.
What?
Miss Lane means the hotel is exclusive, Muriel. You have to be fairly well off to afford it.
Yes, it is that kind of place. Mostly women who live there the year round. They all have money, I guess. My aunt had a great deal.
And a diamond bracelet.
That's what makes me so sure the police are wrong, Mr. Cranston. She always wore that bracelet. It's worth nearly $200,000.
Whew!
She had it made about 10 years ago. She took stones from earrings and necklaces, all sorts of gems. It was the most beautiful bracelet I'd ever seen.
And now it's gone.
It wasn't on her wrist. It couldn't have fallen off, Mr. Cranston. It locked on.
You're sure it's not in her room, Muriel? At the Hotel Acheron, I mean?
But it wouldn't be. Oh, I looked, of course. When they told me she disappeared, the hotel manager, Mr. Hines, and I, we searched her room thoroughly. It just was not there.
You live at the hotel too, Muriel?
No, I don't. I have a small apartment in town.
I see. You didn't happen to be with your aunt the day she disappeared?
No, I wasn't. I hadn't seen her for some time. I've been quite busy, you see. I have a friend in the army going overseas soon, and, well, I just haven't seen Aunt Matilda in several weeks.
Well, Lamont?
Bracelets interest me, Margot. Feel like a little deluxe living?
What?
Acheron. Acheron. That's a strange name for a hotel.
Strange, Mr. Cranston? Why?
Oh, nothing really. It's a mythological term, I believe. Ancient Greek or something like that. It means the god of the river of eternal woe.
This is the porch, Mr. Cranston. Aunt Matilda spent so much time out here in the nice weather. She loved to play bridge with the other ladies.
Miss Redfield.
Oh, Mr. Hines.
I heard the news, my dear. They found your dear aunt's body. It was on the radio half an hour ago.
Yes, they found her. She was all the way down to...
Now, we just won't talk about it. Though I can't understand how a body could float all the way from here down to the piers. Why, it must be 10 miles.
If the body did float down, Mr. Hines.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, Mr. Hines, this is Mr. Cranston, Mr. Lamont Cranston. Mr. Hines is the hotel manager.
How'd you do?
Mr. Cranston?
And this is Miss Lane, Mr. Hines.
How do you do?
Oh, Muriel. Muriel, my child.
Mrs. Haverson.
Oh, I just heard, my dear. Oh, the noon editions are out. See, I was just reading about it in the paper. Oh, my poor dear, my poor dear.
These are some friends of mine, Mrs. Haverson. Miss Lane and Mr. Cranston.
How do you do, Mrs. Haverson?
My aunt and Mrs. Haverson have lived here for years, you see.
Oh?
This is terrible, a terrible tragedy. Why would Matilda want to take her own life? Why, I just can't get over it. We had our afternoon bridge the same as always. How she loved to play cards. Why did she do such a thing?
Perhaps she didn't, Mrs. Haverson. The police report isn't ready yet, you know. Perhaps it wasn't suicide at all.
What?
We don't know. You see, we
just don't know, do we, Muriel?
Mr. Hines, telephone, sir.
What? Oh, thank you, Warner. I'll take it over here.
I'm sorry about your aunt, Miss Redfield. She was always very nice to me.
Thank you, Warner. Mr. Reed is the desk clerk, Mr. Cranston.
Yes, sir.
I see.
We wouldn't know what to do without Warner, would we, my boy?
Oh, I hope not, Mrs. Haverson.
Miss Redfield.
Yes, Mr. Hines?
Why, that was the police. Some man named Weston, Commissioner Weston.
Yes? What did he want?
He said for Miss Redfield to stay right here. He was on his way out here. He sounded excited, Miss Redfield. He said he'd be here right away.
All right, Lamont. You and Miss Lane just might as well hear this. Oh, is that door closed?
It's all right, Commissioner. The guests are all out on the porch.
All right. Young man, suppose you tell us what you told me this morning.
Muriel, dear,
Dan, don't. You don't have to talk, Dan. Don't say a word.
But I want to talk, darling. I have nothing to hide.
Oh, no? All right, then, suppose I tell it. And get this, Cranston. It's good.
I'm listening, Commissioner.
So am I.
We get the body downtown, see? And what do you think we find? A letter. All as nice as you please. Even has this soldier's return address on it. So we can just hop on over to his camp in Long Island and pick him up.
Dan, no.
It's all right, Muriel. I admit I wrote the letter. I told you about it the same night.
What letter, soldier? What did you say?
I've got it, Cranston. Here it is. From Private Dan Burke to Matilda Redfield. Addressed right here to this hotel. Yeah, and delivered the same day the old lady disappeared, too.
Go on, Commissioner. Read it.
Well, it's short enough. Here, listen to this. You've made trouble enough for Muriel. Now that we're married, I warn you, leave us alone. If you make trouble now, I promise you, I won't be responsible for what happens. Signed, Dan Burke.
Married?
Sure, we're married. Muriel's aunt didn't approve of us. That's why I wrote her. She was threatening to break up our marriage.
Muriel, my dear.
Yes?
This is the friend you mentioned so casually, your own husband?
Oh, please. I know I should have told you.
And that ain't all, Cranston. Not only does the soldier here admit writing the letter, he can't explain where he was the night the old lady disappeared. He was out on a 10-day pass. Just got back to his camp this morning.
Is that true, Dan?
Dan, don't. He was with me. Oh, I swear it. He was with me the whole day and night.
Muriel.
Excuse me, there's a telephone message for you.
Go on, Mr. Hines.
Why, that soldier, that's the man I threw off the property.
What?
When? When was this?
Mr. Hines, no.
Why, I caught him prowling around the yard the night Matilda Redfield disappeared. Yes, sir, the very night she disappeared.
Find anything, Margot?
Not a thing, Lamont. Just Matilda's clothes, things like that.
Well, she had a pleasant room anyway. There's a view of the river from this window.
Acheron, the river of eternal woe. Lamont?
Yes?
You don't think Dan Burke killed her, do you?
Oh. Well, Weston had reason enough to hold him, Margot. The boy obviously threatened Matilda in that letter.
And certainly Muriel was covering up for him. He wasn't with her that night at all.
And she covered up their marriage, or tried to.
But you don't think he killed the old lady?
Well, I don't know.
That's funny.
The manager knows we're up here, Margot. I told him I'd like to search the room. Hello?
Mr. Cranston?
Yes, Muriel, what is it?
I'm in the lobby, Mr. Cranston. Will you come down right away, please?
Why? Why, yes. What is it?
My aunt was murdered, Mr. Cranston. I'm sure of it now.
Listen.
You see,
Muriel? Muriel? Miss Redfield?
Lamont, what's happened?
Come on, Margot. We've got to get down in that lobby fast.
Why, no, Mr. Cranston. I didn't notice anything unusual. Miss Redfield made a call from the booth just now, and then she walked out toward the porch, I think.
But she didn't, I tell you.
Something the matter, Mr. Cranston?
It's Miss Redfield, Mr. Hines. Mr. Cranston seems to think she's disappeared.
What?
No, never mind. Perhaps I was mistaken.
Where is she, Warner? She didn't go down to the headquarters with her husband, I know.
No, sir. She stayed here. She just made a phone call, and then when she was through, she walked out on the porch.
Probably wants to be alone, Mr. Cranston. You know how women feel at a time like this.
Yes. Yes, I'm sure that's it.
Oh, Mr. Hines, Oh, Mr. Cranston and Miss Lane, do excuse me. You know, I can't see a thing without my glasses. Oh, here they are. You're still here, I see.
We thought we ought to be near Miss Redfield, Mrs. Harrison. She's so upset.
Oh, of course, poor child, of course. I do want to talk to her later on. At a time like this, I wouldn't dream of bringing it up, but poor dear Matilda had that lovely bracelet. Oh, I was wondering if Muriel would think of selling it.
You admired the bracelet, Mrs. Harrison.
Matilda's? Oh, my, we all did. I declare I never saw such stones. Never.
Out of my way, please. Please, Lamont.
Well, Commissioner Weston.
Cranston, that soldier, he got away.
Really?
Got away, Commissioner? How do you mean?
Why, he's an MP, you know, military police. On the way down to the station, he pulled the gun on my men in the car and simply escaped.
I knew it. I knew he was a killer.
If I were you, Commissioner, I'd keep this quiet.
What?
When you arrest an MP, Commissioner, you really ought to take away his gun.
We will return to the shadow in a moment. Now let me introduce Blue Coal's distinguished heating expert, John Barclay.
Thank you, Don Hancock. And once again, good evening, friends. Since our last shadow broadcast in the spring, our fighting forces have made magnificent progress. But as wonderful as the news is, don't be fooled about the coal situation. It is unlikely that a German defeat will mean any immediate increase in the domestic coal supply. So, help your heating plant give you maximum heat for your coal this fall and winter. Get out your old clothes and put your furnace in A1 order now. You'll need a wire brush, a scraper, and a small can of asbestos cement. You can get any or all of these things at the hardware store. Then, simply wire brush all the soot and fly ash from the heating surfaces. And with the asbestos cement, seal all leaks around the smoke pipe, especially where it enters the chimney. Then, finally, make sure the dampers work properly and all furnace doors fit snugly. Tackle this job right away so you'll start the heating season with a furnace that's clean and in good working order. That'll give you more heat with less fuel. I thank you.
What are you doing to aid civilian defense?
I'm an air raid warden.
I'm helping the Red Cross.
I'm an auxiliary firefighter.
I'm sitting this one out.
Every civilian, regardless of training, regardless of occupation, has a place waiting for them in civilian defense. Don't be a shirker. Don't expect your neighbors to do the whole job. Get in touch right away, today or tomorrow, with your local civilian defense headquarters. You'll find there is a place for you in America's all-out war effort.
I'm delighted you stayed for dinner, Miss Lane. Mr. Cranston. Even at a time like this, the inner man must be fed, you know.
And it's delicious, Mr. Hines. It was kind of you to invite us.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. Oh, will you excuse me a moment? I see Warren motioning for me at the desk.
Of course, Mr. Hines.
Enjoy yourselves. I won't be but a moment. Did you have a nice cut of lamb, Miss Hammerson?
Lamont.
I know, Margot.
But Muriel. Lamont, where is she?
I don't know, Margot. But I've got an idea where she's going to be.
What?
When we sat down to dinner, I found a note under my plate.
A note?
Shh. It tells me to get out of here if I don't want something to happen to Muriel.
No, Lamont, no!
Whoever wrote it was exact enough, Margot. It says if we're not gone in an hour, Muriel will be dead.
An hour?
Yes, and by that time, it'll be quite dark. Feel like any dessert?
Oh, no!
Good. I'd like to have a look at this river. If Matilda met her death in it, it seems Muriel might end up there too.
Lamont, it's so dark. I can't see a thing.
It's all right, Margot. Keep going. The boathouse is just ahead.
Yes, but...
Here now.
Margot, are you all right?
Land's sake, screaming halfway. Who are you, anyhow?
I'm all right, Lamont. I just bumped into this man in the dark.
Come on now, who are you? And what are you doing down here to the river?
If you'll take that light out of our eyes, my friend, we'll tell you.
Well, fess up now. I'm the watchman, that's who I am. And I don't remember you two as none of the guests.
The watchman.
Murders, police, everybody all on edge. You gave me quite a start, young lady. Now, come on along, both of you. We'll go up to the hotel and... Good lands! Now, what's that?
Margot, come on. That's a police whistle.
Those shots, Lamont. They came up from near the hotel.
Wait for me.
All right, Burke. This time I've got you. Now just stay right where you are.
Listen!
Not a word out of you, soldier. You got away from us once. This time, you're done for. Stand back, Mr. Hines.
I didn't mean to shoot, Commissioner. I saw someone in the bushes. When I called out and he ran, I shot. That's all.
Well, it's all right. You just got him in the leg. Yes, and no more than what's coming to you, Burke.
Weston, Commissioner, what's happened?
Well, Cranston, it looked like the show's over. Mr. Hines here found our runaway soldier boy.
What?
He was in those bushes, Mr. Cranston. When he wouldn't stop, I fired at him.
Look, I swear, I didn't do anything wrong. I came back to find my wife. You gotta tell me where she is.
Nothing wrong? Listen, soldier, you broke away from police custody at the point of a gun. You were caught prowling here tonight. And what's more, young man, I'm booking you for the murder of Matilda Redfield. Now, come on. We're taking you downtown.
But Lamont...
It's all right, Margot. It looks like Commissioner Weston has solved the case.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, Cranston. For once, you admit it.
Definitely, Commissioner. In fact, Margot and I will jump in my car and meet you downtown. We'd like to be there when the boy confesses.
But Lamont...
Come along, Margot. Looks like Commissioner Weston has done it again.
Lamont Cranston, what in the world are you thinking of? We can't go down to headquarters. What about Muriel?
In other words, Margot, you hardly think the soldier was holding his own wife.
Well, certainly.
Exactly. And we're not going down to headquarters. Matter of fact, this is just about where I get out.
Here? At the river?
Look, Margot, You see that dam up ahead?
Why, yes.
A body can't float over that dam, Margot. If someone were murdered, for instance, back here on this side, say at the boathouse back at the hotel,
Yes.
the body couldn't float all the way down the river into town, right?
Lamont, of course. Then Mrs. Redfield was killed on the other side of the dam.
Not necessarily, Margot. She might have been lifted over the dam, you know.
What?
If someone were going to murder Muriel in the same way in 8 minutes, according to their warning,
Yes.
they could do it at the hotel, couldn't they? Murder her there, then put the body in a boat, rowed down to the dam, and lift it over. Then she'd float right down into town, just like Aunt Matilda.
Lamont, how horrible. You've got to do something.
Yeah, and in 8 minutes, too. Only this time, Margot, I think we'll let our old friend the Shadow handle things.
Yes, but...
Now, look, you go to a phone down the road at that filling station and call Commissioner Weston's office, understand?
Yes, Lamont.
Tell him and them that Commissioner must be on that dam in, 15 minutes. Make that plain, Margot. They'll intercept him by radio on his way down to headquarters with Dan Burke.
On the dam in 15 minutes.
Right. And then hang up. Don't tell them who you are. I'll meet you back at this spot. Oh, and see if you can find a towel, will you?
A towel? What for?
I have an idea, Margot, that the Shadow might go in for a swim.
Who's there?
Why, Fred.
Oh, it's you, Mrs. Harrison. Gave me quite a scare.
It's such a lovely night. I was walking by the river, Fred.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just all a jitter, I guess. Mrs. Redfield and all.
Poor Matilda. We'll miss her so.
I'm just all a jitter, Miss Harrison. Why, just now, before you came along, I was making my rounds here on the boathouse pier, and I could have sworn I heard footsteps behind me.
What?
Just my nerves, I guess. Enjoy your walk, Mrs. Harrison.
Thank you, Fred. I will. Now. All right, Muriel, come out of there. Oh, did I forget to take that nasty old handkerchief out of your mouth, my dear? What a pity. Well, no matter. I'll do the talking, my child. Now, come on. This is a gun, Muriel, and I warn you, I know how to use it. Oh, stop out here, Muriel. Out here on the edge of the pier. That's right. Now, don't move, you hear me? Now we'll see if everything's ready. Warner, are you down there?
In the boat. Come on.
Bring it around to the side, Warner. I've got it all ready.
Hurry up. The watchman will be coming back any minute.
You heard Mr. Reed, Muriel. Get into the boat. Get in.
Careful, it's leaning to one side.
Get going, Warner. She's in.
It's leaning to one side, I tell you. Move over. No, not that side. The other.
We're not on that side, Warner. For pity's sake, get going.
Is she gagged?
Yes. Poor darling. Isn't that a shame? And her little eyes look so frightened, too. Don't be frightened, Muriel. This is just a lovely little boat ride. Oh, you're a very clever girl, Muriel. A little too clever, I'm afraid. Hurry, Warner.
I am. This boat is heavy, don't forget.
Isn't this pleasant, Muriel? Your poor dear aunt thought so, too. A lovely ride, really. And when we get down to the dam, why, well, then, my dear, we'll ask you to go on the rest of the way alone. Oh, dear Warner, do you suppose Muriel will struggle to...
Oh, shut up.
Oh, it was really touching, my dear. Poor Matilda struggled so when we held her under the water. Now, and it was so unnecessary, really. If she hadn't been so difficult about her lovely bracelet. Would you know that she actually confided to Warner that I was cheating her at cards?
Oh, this boat weighs a ton.
All we wanted was that lovely bracelet, too. I suggested that she sell it, you see. After all, she did owe me a great deal of money from our little bridge games. Poor Matilda was so unlucky.
Unlucky? With those trick glasses you wear? Oh!
Well, perhaps I did cheat a little, Warner, but only to get that lovely bracelet. And she was thinking of selling it, wasn't she, Warner? Isn't it too bad? To think she suddenly suspected me of cheating.
Quiet. I can see the dam.
Poor Muriel. I'm afraid, my dear, the time is drawing near.
On the contrary, Mrs. Harrison, the time has come.
What's that?
Reed?
You can stop rowing, Warner Reed, and I'll take that gun, Mrs. Harrison.
Reed, the gun! It flew right out of my hand.
There's somebody in this boat.
You're right, Warner Reed. This is someone in the boat. The Shadow.
The Shadow?
The Shadow knows, Mrs. Harrison. Muriel. Take the gun, Muriel. It's lying there at your feet. Now, if you point it at Mrs. Harrison, I'm sure she'll undo your gag. Undo it.
Yes, I will.
You murderers!
Cover them, Muriel. Keep them both covered.
Yes, I have.
And now, Warner, you may start rowing again.
Rowing?
To the dam, Warner. I think the police commissioner is waiting for you.
Warner?
Go on now.
Yes, that's right, Muriel. Oh, one more thing. You have the bracelet, Mrs. Harrison?
It's in her purse, Shadow. I saw it when she dropped it this noon. In the lobby. I tried to tell Mr. Cranston, but I was cut off and they...
Shadow knows, Muriel. Just give the bracelet to the commissioner on the dam. That will complete the story. And now... goodbye!
Shadow, wait, but please wait.
It's too late, Warner Reed. Goodbye!
He jumped into the river. I heard the splash, but I couldn't see a thing.
No man sees the shadow, Mrs. Harrison, but the shadow knows. See the lights on the dam, Margot? Muriel must be turning them over to Weston.
Are you dressed, Lamont?
What? Oh, you can turn around now, and thanks for the dry clothes.
Think nothing of it, Lamont. All my boyfriends go for moonlight dips now and then.
They do?
Lamont,
Yes?
you knew it was Mrs. Harrison all along, didn't you?
It wasn't very difficult, Margot. She said she couldn't see a thing without her glasses, and yet she was reading a newspaper without them when we met her this morning.
Say, that's right.
That's when I got a look at those glasses, I was sure. They're tricks, Margot. If you look closely, you can see a special lens at the bottom of the glass.
What?
They're used for reading the backs of marked cards. Invisible markings show up when you look at the cards through those glasses. I've seen dozens of them.
Then she was a card cheat.
Only to lure out bigger game, Margot. She'd get Matilda's bridge debt up high enough, you see, and then suggest she sell the bracelet. Harrison would suggest that she handle the sale, and of course, once she got her hands on the bracelet, she'd disappear.
Dry your hair, Lamont.
Her accomplice had me fooled, though. I knew she'd need someone to help her if she got Matilda's body over that dam.
And it was Warner Reed, the desk clerk.
I knew it must have been when Muriel's phone call was cut off. He was the only one behind the desk at the switchboard. That's how he overheard her call.
Lamont, of course. And Dan Burke was innocent of the whole thing.
And Muriel was covering up for him. I suppose the poor girl wasn't entirely sure he didn't kill her aunt.
The night he came to the hotel.
Yes. Only she was dead by that time. Poor Matilda. Her mistake was confiding in Warner. As soon as she told him she suspected Mrs. Haverson of cheating, she signed her own death warrant.
River of eternal woe. Whew.
Cold?
Well,
what?
I could stand an arm around me, Lamont. A big, strong arm.
Mine do?
Oh, yes, Lamont. Yes, it will.
The Shadow program is based on a story copyrighted by Street and Smith Publications. The characters' names, places, and plot are fictitious. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Berlin, Germany. A stormtrooper, revolver in his holster, calls at a German home. He knocks on the front door.
Yes. What is it?
I've come for the regular Victory Drive collection. It's been doubled this week.
No. Oh, no, we can't afford it.
Are you trying to tell me you want to sabotage the Great War effort? Get the money!
Oh, I'll get it. I'll get it. Don't hit me.
That's one way to collect money, the dictator's way. In America, the free man's way is different. Nobody comes to your house with a gun in his hand. You must go of your own free will to your nearest bank or post office and buy defense bonds. Buy defense stamps. Buy as many as you can. Buy them regularly. That's the only way to prove to the Nazis that for nations, just as for men,
the weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay. The shadow knows.
Giant Toad Supermarket. Attention all money savers in the Richmond, Syracuse, Tri-City area, and all you wonderful people up at Ed Siegelman's Ground Zero Equal Opportunity Apartments. Yes, our manager, Darwin Paul, has opened up his pants early this Christmas to let you in for the biggest in unhealable deep cod discounts. Now, agglutinated beans, giant and hypo size, 2 for 47 cents. Ma Rainey's Moleskin cookies by the tin at $1.87. Save on peach pits this week only. See our boy at the back. Dog food for the doggy? Well, doggone it, we've got all 6 varieties of Martyr brand kidney and beef offal. Talk to Charlie Cranepool, Ed's dad, at our liquor department about choice USDA bourbon and rump roast cocktail party mix. Last and least, there's plenty of seasick fresh produce on our vegetable counter. Don't worry about the flies, we won't weigh them. So, wary shoppers, take the lift out of life and drop your load on the Giant Toad. We give double discounted green stamps.
Los Angeles. He walks again by night. Out of the fog, into the smog. Relentlessly. Ruthlessly.
I wonder where Ruth is.
Doggedly. Toward his weekly meeting with the unknown. At 4th and Drucker, he turns left. At Drucker and 4th, he turns right. He crosses MacArthur Park and walks into a great sandstone building.
Oh, my nose.
Groping for the door, He steps inside, climbs the 13 steps to his office. He walks in. He's ready for mystery. He's ready for excitement. He's ready for anything. He's
Nick Danger, Third Eye.
Yeah, I'd like one pizza to go and no anchovies.
No anchovies? You've got the wrong man. I spell my name Danger.
What?
the makers of fantastic cigarettes, long in the leaf and short in the can, bring you another true story from the tattered casebook of Nick Danger, Third Eye. Let's join him now in the adventure we call
Cut 'em Off at the Past.
Let's get down to business. Uncross those beautiful stems of yours, baby. Here's the case I call number 666. It all began innocently enough on Tuesday. I was sitting in my office on that drizzly afternoon listening to the monotonous staccato of rain on my desktop and reading my name on the glass of my office door, Regnad Kassin. My secretary lay snoring on the floor, her long, beautiful gams pinioned under the couch. I didn't hear him enter, but my nostrils flared at the smell of his perfume, Pyramid Patchouli. There was only one joker in L.A. sensitive enough to wear that scent, and I had to find out who it was.
Good afternoon, Mr. Danger. My name is Rocky Rococo.
Well, thanks, Half Pint. You just saved me a lot of investigative work.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Do you know what this is?
I had to think for a minute. What cruel game was he playing? That's a brown paper bag.
That's correct. Now look inside, Mr. Danger. What do you see?
Well, that's easy. That's a pickle.
Very good. Now I think you're ready for this.
What? Why, that's nothing but a 2-bit ring from a crackerback jocks.
I sell it to you for $5,000.
Ha! What kind of a chump do you take me for?
First class.
That tarnished piece of tin is worthless.
Worthless? Not to Melanie Haber.
Melanie Haber?
You may remember her as Audrey Farber.
Audrey Farber.
Susan Underhill?
Susan Underhill?
How about Betty Jo Bielowski?
Betty Jo Bielowski. I hadn't heard that name since college. Everyone knew her as Nancy. Then it all came rushing back to me like the hot kiss at the end of a wet fist. It was pig night at the Om Mani Padme Sigma house. We had escaped from the crowd and stood trembling under the dwarf maples.
Oh, Nikki. Oh, I don't know what to say. That is the most beautiful ring I've ever seen.
Yeah, Nancy, it's really neat. It cost me $5,000.
Oh, Nikki, how can I ever repay you?
Well, gee whiz, Nancy. Well, how about $500 down and a 36-month contract, huh?
What?
Well, you could marry me.
That's impossible, Nick. I can't marry you. I can't even tell you why. Maybe someday.
All right, Nancy. I understand. Sign here.
Oh, Nick, I'll never forgive you.
And I'll never forget you neither, Nancy. And that's why I called you today, Nancy. I mean, Mrs. Haber. Something reminded me of that time so long ago under the dwarf maples.
I don't know what prompted you to get in touch with me, but you called just in the nick of time.
Oh, you haven't lost your delicate sense of humor, have you, Nancy?
What? Nick, I can't talk to you now. You have to get out here right away. My husband, Oh, it's the same old place in Santa Barbara, Nicky. Oh, hurry, Nicky. I need you. I can't...
Nancy! I slipped the ring into my nose and the receiver into my pocket and headed for the door quickly, but I'd forgotten the little man with the evil grin.
Just a second, Danger. What about my pickle?
You're lucky you still have your brown paper bag, small change.
Danger, you haven't seen the last of me.
No, but the first of you turns my stomach.
You'll be hearing from me again, Danger.
I headed down the hall in the opposite direction toward the fire escape. I hadn't a moment to lose.
Hey, Danger.
Oh.
Where's the fire?
It's in your eyes, Lieutenant Bradshaw.
Don't get wise with me, peeper.
You're lucky we didn't burn you on the Anselmo Pederasty case.
Oh, look, you caught him, didn't you?
Yeah, but the punk got away, no thanks to you.
Yeah. So, what brings your flat feet sniffing around here now, Copper?
Just a friendly word of advice, Danger.
Yeah? What?
Don't go sticking your nose into police business.
Oh, sure, Lieutenant. Is that all?
No. Don't talk with your mouth full.
Okay, Bradshaw.
And don't fidget when I talk to you.
Sure, Lieutenant.
And stop tracking mud across my nice, clean kitchen floor.
Okay. When I hit the street, the rain had already turned L.A. into a mud river. It was a short swim down Alvarado to my convertible. Okay, had to get down Santa Barbara in a big hurry. As I whipped onto Mulholland Drive, the lights were just twinkling on across the San Fernando Valley. I could barely make them out through the driving rain. And then, the hard right down Big Tujunga Canyon. My tires squealed as I hit Sepulveda. A right, a left, another right, a left to the body, a right, and into a gas station. Hey, Pop.
All right. Hold your horses. I'm coming. Yeah?
Where am I?
You can't get there from here.
But I'm looking for the same old place.
Oh, you must mean the old same place. Sonny, it's right out back. Here's the key.
Well, 4 hours later, I parked my car in the carriage house and walked up the gray gravel driveway between the line of dwarf maples toward the pillared entrance of the same mansion. It had been snowing in Santa Barbara ever since the top of the page, and I had to shake the cornstarch off my mucklucks as I lifted the heavy obsidian door knocker and... Hey, in there! Open up, your door knocker fell off.
What's all this brouhaha?
Brouhaha? Hey, wait a minute. Don't you want this door knocker?
I already have one.
But this is yours.
You see, I told you. We used to have another one, but he vanished mysteriously. All right, come in out of the cornstarch and dry your mucklucks by the fire. Now, let me introduce myself. I am Nick Danger.
No, let me introduce myself. I am Nick Danger.
Well, if you're so smart, why don't you pick up your cues faster?
Those are my cues?
Well, yes, and they must be drying by now. Why don't you pull them out of the cellophane before they scorch? All right, sir. May I take your hat and goat?
Yes.
All right, I assume you've come to see my mistress, Mr. Danger.
I don't care about your private life or what his name is. I've come to see Nancy, Mrs. Haber.
Mrs. Haber?
Audrey Farber?
Audrey Farber?
Well, how about Betty Jo Bialowski?
Oh, you mean Nancy? Well, she's in the aviary stunting trees. I shall return with her straight away. You may wait here in the sitting room or sit here in the waiting room.
Oh, there was something fishy about the butler. I think he was a Pisces, probably working for Scale. I felt a thin shiver run up my spine as I sat down on the cold marble floor. What was it about this place? The atmosphere was as phony as the Tudor balustrade that leered at me from the top of the staircase. And there she stood, radiant, all those curves showing through that flimsy burnoose.
Nick?
It was Nancy running down the stairs. All the familiar sounds and smells of Big Night came rushing back like a good snort of scotch. And then it struck me. 20 years later, and she still knocked me out. Where am I?
Nick. Oh, Nick, darling. Nick, wake up. Are you all right?
Yes.
Then stop slapping me.
No, Nancy. Nancy, what's the bird's eye lowdown on this caper? Whatever that means.
Nick, we can't talk here.
Oh, what? Why? What?
We can't talk here.
What do you mean we can't talk here?
We can't
talk.
You're right. We can't. What shall we do?
Follow me. This way.
All right.
Oh, this is much better. We're at the chapel now. It's soundproof, so no one can hear us.
What did you say?
I said no one can...
What?
Never mind.
What?
Follow me. Take my hand. This way. This is much better.
Yeah. Oh, pretty fancy layout you got here, Nancy. What's this, your boudoir?
Oh, no. These are the kennels.
Putting on the dog, huh? Say, where are all the doggies?
They've mysteriously disappeared.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, I just told you. Along with the servants. They were very attached to one another.
Where?
At the wrists and ankles.
Oh, wait a minute. You said all the servants had disappeared.
Did I?
Well, what about your butler?
You mean Catherwood?
Yes, madam.
Oh, Catherwood, you startled me.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, madam.
What are you doing there on all fours?
I'm looking for my script. Why don't you just go on without me?
Listen, Nancy, I smell a rat.
So do I. I think he's got my script.
Yes.
This is...
Catherwood, you look for it, all right?
You...
Nick, quickly, through this sacred panel.
All right.
Over here.
Oh.
Here, this way.
This is the portrait gallery.
This is the portrait gallery. There's an echo in here. This is the portrait gallery, Nick. It's the safest room in the mansion. No one can find us here.
Huh? Yeah. All right, Nancy. Get your hands off of me.
Get your hands off me.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, what's the scoop?
Chocolate, butterscotch, or Rocky Rococo Road.
That reminded me. How had she gotten herself involved with that slimy weasel Rococo, and how do I make my voice do this?
Oh, Nick, Nick, it all began 20 years ago with the mysterious disappearance of my husband.
You mean you were already married when I sold you that ring? No wonder she hadn't been able to meet the payments.
What?
So that was your secret. So, what a sap I've been.
Oh, yes. But that night, the strangest thing happened.
Well, that usually goes along with being just married.
My husband, Johnny, Nick, I want to tell you the horrible truth. The whole truth of it, all of it. The man behind everything.
Tea, madam?
Whoa. Let me handle this, Nancy. Far out, Catherwood. Just roll a couple of bombers and leave them on the side table.
Oh, yes, madam. Oh, I say. I seems to have crashed. It's been such a long exposition, you know. I'm so tired.
Catherwood?
Yes?
Catherwood, can't you see you're upsetting Nancy? Leave us alone.
Well, how much would you like, sir? 500, 1,000?
Amscray, Osterbay.
Oh, of course, sir. Ooh, cook-a-choo, sir.
Gesundheit.
Yes, well, I'm so tired I haven't slept a wink.
All right, Nancy, go on with your story. Start with your dreadful secret.
Oh, Nick, I can't. I'm so confused.
Oh, well, look, why don't you just hold your thumb next to your line? See, like this?
Oh,
I mean, yeah, that way I don't get confused. I never lose my place.
I feel faint. The whole world is spinning.
Why, that's lucky for us, Nancy. If it were flat, we would all fall off. Wait a minute. Where am I? I better check. And then it hit me. Oh, what a sap she had.
Oh, good girl, Nancy. That ought to hold him for a while.
Oh, poor Nicky.
Oh.
He's bleeding. I'll tear this strip off my petticoat.
Well, sure, if you want to.
Ah, there. You tie him up with this. I'll go through his pockets.
All right. Careful. Don't wake him up.
Oh.
That contract must be on him somewhere.
Oh, Audrey.
You fools!
What?
Haven't you found a contract yet? Your time is almost up.
Oh, Rococo, you slimy blackmailer. How did you get in here? You don't have a key?
No, only half a key.
What?
I had to split it with the sound effects man.
Oh.
Thanks, Roger. Where's the contract, you absent-minded old frog?
Wait a minute. Here it is. I found it. It was taped to his leg.
Give me that. Ha! Ha! I've got it at last.
All right. All right. Now maybe you'll leave us in peace, Rococo. Give me the negative.
Of course. Here it is.
Oh, at last. Now we're out of your evil clutches.
Dan, wait a minute. Look at this negative.
What?
It isn't us.
What?
It's an interesting approach, but it isn't us.
Oh, she's right. What are you trying to pull on me, Rococo?
Oh, my goodness. I must have sent the wrong negative to the police. I must have left yours in the car. I'll then go and get it.
Oh, now just a second, Rococo. You're not going nowhere until you've explained what you've done with that filthy piece of blackmail.
Are you threatening me? Why, you stupid toad. I ought to beat your brain out.
No! Put down that pickle!
You'll never get away with this, Rococo!
Oh, yeah? Didn't you ever see Casablanca? Or maybe even Kilo?
The thick veil of pain lifted enough for me to eyeball the situation. Rococo, that sleazy weasel, how did he get in here? And what was he doing with that pickle in one hand and my contract in the other? I had no choice. Nancy and the old butler were frozen with terror. I struggled quietly to my feet and flung myself head first at Rococo's stomach.
Oh, thank you. You saved our life.
Oh, this ain't no time for ticker-tape parades, baby. Get me out of these ropes and into a good belt of scotch.
Why don't you let me hold that contract for you, Mr. Danger?
I'll keep that contract, Catherwood. But you can take this pickle off my hands.
No, I think you'd better hold on to that, Nick.
Oh, good thinking, sweetheart. Lieutenant Bradshaw will need all the evidence he can get.
Ah, yes. And you should stick around, too, Danger. You can help him put all the pieces together, you know.
Right.
No, a left.
Ooh! Oh! I felt like I was being kicked in the head by the whole chorus line at Minsky's. Oh, so Nancy was in on this caper. I felt myself going under. The biggest long shot Louis and Hialeah wouldn't put a fin on my fate now. This time, something told me I was out for lunch. I even began to hear things. Oh.
I will never forgive you, Nick.
Keep your nose out of police business, Danger.
May I take your hat and go, sir?
We'll be back to Nick Danger after this message.
All right, hold it right where you are. I'm Lieutenant Bradshaw with a piece of advice for you. Now, here in the studio, it's all knuckles and know-how, but when that red light goes off, I'm just plain Harry Ames. Citizen, weekend father. Now, take a tip from a cop who does. Radio work can be just as dirty and exciting as hunting public enemy number one. So when I get home, my old lady knows what I need and how. A warm, heaping bowl full of Loosener's castor oil flakes with real glycerin vibrafoam. It doesn't just wash your mouth out, it cleans your whole system right on down the line. So come on, you little rookies. Tell your mom to get to it and do it every day. Just remember what the guys down at the precinct house sing. Oh, it ain't no use if you ain't got the boost you get from Loosener's. Loosener's.
The all-weather breakfast.
Hello, dear friends out there in Radio Land. I'm Barry Stoltz. I'm one of the producers of the Atlanta Union Radio Players and Lend Me an Ear. And it's my sad duty to inform you that Act 3 of The Further Adventures of Nick Danger will not be seen in its entirety tonight due to the recent supply chain issue and the Arbitron variant, the Accutron, no, time out there. The new Omicron virus. Well, it's actually not new because they skipped that letter. It's one of the letters in the alphabet. Then they skipped chi, but what's that old routine about, news on first. What news? Oh, which news? Chi who? Anyway, our problem is that the rest of the cast is currently stuck in a hermetically sealed container on a freighter in LA Harbor. So the authorities tell me that they are also concerned that the audiences watching the final sequence will feel compelled to laugh heartily, thereby expelling plentiful possibilities of germs on the public. And as we would like to complete the show before we all reach the Omega variant, we do think we can safely say that we will have the further adventures of Nick Danger by this year's winter solstice. That being said, once again, our sincere apologies to you, and let's all hope that this Rubicon bug doesn't drown our already flooded healthcare system. Thanks for watching and supporting the ACFB, and stay tuned in the coming days for Act 3 and the thrilling conclusion of Nick Danger, Third Eye.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude our broadcast day. The Atlanta Union Radio Players wish to thank Phil Proctor and David Osman of the FIRESIGN Theatre for allowing the use of Nick Danger. Big thank yous to Bill Rich, Robert Drake, Brian E. Smith, Alice Lee, Christopher Jones, and Alton Leonard of the Atlanta Radio Theatre Company for their many audio, video, and musical contributions. Much appreciation to Mr. Drake at the Academy Theatre, and Anita Farley and James Donadio at the Georgia Ensemble Theatre for the use of their stage facilities. A tip of the hat to our stellar cast of SAG-AFTRA and Equity members. Our producers and directors, Barry Stoltz, John Hayden, Helen Ingebrigtsen, and Doug Kay. Melissa Goodman at SAG-AFTRA, along with all the volunteers behind the scenes who show their support every year for the Atlanta Community Food Bank. And a special thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in online this second year and donating to the ACFB on this Giving Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of helping feed those in need during the holiday season and all year long. So until next fall, this is your announcer, Jerry Immel, saying good night and stay safe. See you all in 2022, when once again we invite you to lend me an ear.